say all of our websites.
There you go.
What's up, champs? You're fucking with us. You're about to be fucking with us. Go to my website, www.moshekasher.com, to see all of my upcoming book tour dates. I'm probably coming to a city near you. I will be in Chicago, Detroit, Oklahoma City, Bloomington, Indiana, Vancouver, Austin, Seattle, Portland, Edmonton. Just come fuck with me. MosheKasher.com, at Moshe Kasher.
And you can go to nealbrennan.com. Look at what the fuck I'm doing. I know I'm going to be in
Denver,
Charlotte, North Carolina, Baltimore, Maryland, a bunch of places. So come fuck with me and check my Twitter, Neal Brennan.
Hey, this is Douggpound. Just check Douggpound. Twitter.com/Douggpound. And
all right,
find out what I'm doing.
You're about to be fucking with us.
God bless you.
Now, you're fucking with the champs.
I like that.
This ride a little bit.
Can I rap yet, Neal? No. Come on, 26 episodes in, I still can't rap.
Man. That's fucking great.
I think you should rap.
Yo. Forget it. Ladies and gentlemen, you are fucking with the world-famous Champs podcast, home of the chief of all podcasts, Neal Brennan, ladies and gentlemen.
I am Neal Brennan. They call me the chief.
They call
at
me
my
the chief.
Starbucks.
Unbelievable.
I call people chief. I think it's the most condescending thing you can call people.
Right. Well, we've been struggling. I've been struggling with Neal for the ownership of this podcast since it's
the soul of the podcast.
Since its very
What do you
beginning.
think's more condescending, chief or champ? Hey, champ.
Well, champ feels good because it's the
champ is the name of the pot. I think chief is still more condescending. Like, hey, chief.
We should be called the Chiefs.
We
could have been called the Chiefs.
So we've already been engaged in an ideological war, and then we went to Neal's Starbucks in town, and he said, and this one is for the chief. And so we lost. Doug and I lost the reins of this podcast. This is Neal's podcast, and we're
I kind of want to kill myself.
It's official.
It's official. My name is Moshe Kasher. I'm another champ. I'm one of the Braves here, and the one and only infamous DJ Douggpound.
Hello, everyone.
There we go.
Nice. Our guest today.
Drops.
Our guest today, old fucking friend of mine.
Wow.
20, we're 20 years deep into this.
Yeah,
thing.
start dating me. Make me the old guy.
We're 19 years into this shit.
Hey, everybody. It's the cool old guy about to come on.
I've known
positioning
you.
his
Now,
walker.
as we drove up from Starbucks, my Starbucks, where I'm known as the chief, the Blackwell, the intern, saw our first guest and said, hey, is that Mouse?
That's right.
And I didn't know what the fuck he was talking about.
He was talking about a character I played on the Jamie Foxx Show.
Yes.
Where I played his non-pussy-getting friend, Mouse.
Great.
Yes.
It's one of those classic horrible casting call descriptions, like
exactly.
guy who gets no. I get all of those. I get like gay nerd, Jew nerd, gay nerd, impossible to get, girls nerd, socially awkward nerd.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen.
And then, but you were also in Menace. Don't drink a gin and juice.
You got to say the exact right title.
Don't drink
or
your
I'm not
someone
saying that.
will
Don't be
try
a-
and stab you.
Don't be a
drinking the
menace
juice.
while drinking your juice in the hood. No, don't be a menace.
Don't be a menace
in South Central
in
while
South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. And the idea behind that was to use all the title, as many letters as possible, so you would have no choice when you went to the movie theater. That would take all of them.
Oh,
so
they were on the thing
on
back
the
when they did it
marquee,
digitally.
back when they
or
had
back when they did it
marquees,
with letters. That's fucking really
Oh,
funny.
interesting.
That may have been the funniest joke in the movie.
Yeah.
No, I didn't see the movie.
Well,
what was the name of the character?
Crazy
Legs. That is
Oh, that's
correct.
right.
I did see it.
Yes.
Were you like disabled or something?
Well, I was the best dancer in the hood, but I was in a wheelchair.
Right.
So what it is really kind of a story of triumph. That I'm not going to let a physical disability stop me.
Or the disability of the script stop you from acting in the film.
All.
Ladies and gentlemen,
It's Suli
McCullough.
That's me.
Yeah, yes.
I'm in it.
Also the first black and only black writer for The Tonight Show. Is that correct?
Not the only black writer. There were actually, in the history of The Tonight Show, up until I was there. That reminds me of The Tonight Show. That's what it was really all about. To write a joke for Jay Leno and get that.
To get people to storm the stage.
Yeah, exactly. No, I was the third black writer on the show.
Oh, in the history of the show.
In the history of the show.
Red Fox.
Slappy White.
Pygmy Martin.
And surprisingly, Jim Brown.
Jim Brown has done it all. He truly has done it all.
That show
Wait,
was
is he
funny
the football
though.
player?
Actually, yeah, he was.
Have you ever seen his commentary on UFC 1?
No.
It's incredible.
Isn't it?
He has no idea what the sport is about, and he's just like a famous guy. And he's like, well, these young men are, there's some real action. Like, he has no idea how to do commentary on that sport. I recommend that.
I shook his hand one time. Biggest fucking hand I've ever, that I like remember being like, wow, that is a huge hand.
Yeah.
Where he could have just he could have lifted me up just by my head. And you, who were the other writers? Who were the other black writers?
Who's on Jon Stewart's show?
Larry Wilmore.
Larry Wilmore was one.
Okay.
And then there was another one that I don't know.
Got it. But you were the only.
It was
Scruncho.
It was really
Scruncho,
yeah,
right?
Scruncho. It was Scruncho.
Okay, cool.
He was good. He was good with the. He was good with the sound effects.
Was it food stamp? Damn fool.
Damn fool. He's good. He's the one that hasn't got his due yet.
Yeah, damn fool. I mean, that.
You know why he hasn't gotten his due yet, right?
Because he a
The
damn
guy's
fool.
a damn fool.
He a damn fool.
He a
I mean,
damn
straight
fool.
up. I'm not going. He a damn fool.
You can't. I'll give him no court on that. I mean,
There's a comic named
he's just
Damn
a damn fool.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to say.
That's what we're
If you
trying to
don't-
say.
If you don't live in LA.
And to sum up his comedy, he a damn fool.
He
y'all.
is a damn fool.
Okay, so you.
Hamburger.
I was going to tell you a funny story about the Tonight Show.
Yes, please.
It's really hard to be a black writer on the Tonight Show because there's only been 3, right? It'd be much easier if I would have decided to be a black member of the band. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like it would have opened up for me. But the band members, when I was there, I remember they would come up to me and they'd be like, "Man, black dudes don't last long here at all," which I thought was really funny.
They would actually
They would actually
brother,
like-
I don't know what
Yeah,
you got
right.
your next
They're like,
shit
do you
line.
play
Yeah.
a conga or a
Right.
trumpet at all? Because we can get you a job, and it will stay.
Okay, so you're from San Francisco, right?
I was born here, but I grew up in Northern California.
Where'd you grow up?
Actually, from Silicon Valley.
Where?
Cupertino. To be
Cupertino.
exact.
Hood, man.
The hard part of
That shit's
Cupertino.
some Bay Area shit, Northern California.
That's
Yeah.
right. Northern California.
In Northern California.
Yeah.
Cupertino.
But Cupertino's
Home
a
of the
little
apple.
safer than that.
Apple.
I actually went to junior high across the street from Apple.
Oh, did you?
I did.
All right, so you started at the Punchline?
No, I actually started here in L.A.
You were going to UC? Yeah, go.
Yeah, I went to UCLA. We were very fortunate. We had a comedy club there, and we would get together.
At UCLA?
At UCLA. We, the school, the university.
okay.
Yeah. We had a comedy club there, and
Like a room
yeah, like
that was a.
well, what it was people that like college students that wanted to be comics. We would get together and help each other with our material, and then here's where the genius part came in. We would actually do shows in the dorms where we would perform for our friends and people that lived in the dorms, and then they would book one real comic, and so it was a way of becoming friends with the real comics. And then
it was designed that way?
that's the way the club was designed. Yeah,
Like,
So-
we'll bring in a real comic, then
Yeah.
you guys can make professional contacts.
yeah, yeah.
And who did they book while you were there?
Well, David Spade, I remember, used to do shows there.
Pretty
which is pretty
sweet.
good.
Yeah.
And then we got really smart in college. We started booking our own shows where we would take a couple guys from the comedy club and then go do all the fraternity and sorority rush weeks and then charge them and then bring that one good comic that we had met from the comedy club. And so we pimped them to pay for our education.
And would you make a bunch of money?
Yeah, we did really well.
And who came out of there? Anybody famous?
I did.
Besides you, anybody famous?
Chris Spencer
Oh,
was
sure.
in the comedy club. Who else? A guy named Fred Tatasciore.
Nope.
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 Damn fool?
Damn fool.
Okay, and then you started. So were
And
you?
then so, I started hosting all this stuff on campus and all that stuff. And then I was like, well, I know everybody. Are they just laughing because we're friends? So then I started, I did open mic at the Comedy Store. And then I started doing
What
the
year?
Laugh Factory. That was 89. 89, 90. See? Wow, that's old guy talk.
Yeah,
that really is some old
That is
guy.
old.
You're old, huh?
I am old.
You
I'm
don't
like,
seem old. You seem very young.
yeah, I mean, well, I have kids. That's why.
Oh, they keep you young?
Well, I just steal their stuff. Like whatever they like, I like. You know what I mean?
You steal like their affect.
I like. You know who I like? That Drake.
Yeah, I love Drake. His sweaters are dreamy.
I loves me some Drake.
Woo-wee.
All right. So then were you good in college?
You know, I used to do impressions and stuff, so you know, it's easy.
Did you really? Who
Yeah.
did you do?
Yeah, who you
And
got?
we're not gonna have you do them.
I'm gonna
No,
have you
please
do 'em.
don't have me do them. I would just do all like the basic dudes, like whoever I could do. at the
Cosby.
time.
Can we guess?
Can we get a Cosby?
No, Chris Spencer would do Cosby.
So you would split them up.
Yeah. Like if we were doing the same show, I wouldn't do Cosby. But if we were doing different shows, I was breaking Cosby out.
Can you do Eddie Murphy?
No, I didn't do Eddie Murphy.
Who did you do?
I did Spike Lee. I did all the
You did
nerd
Spike
people.
Lee?
Yeah,
Spike
I did.
Lee?
Who
I
would
did.
know what a Spike Lee
Yeah, what
impression
does he
even
sound
sounded
like?
I don't remember. I told you I'm not doing it.
Okay. I couldn't even identify him
I
if he
do
were
Woody,
here.
I do Woody Allen. I would do Woody Allen, and then I'd also do.
What was the premise of Woody Allen? Was it like
oh,
Woody
this
Allen?
was my
Woody
this
Allen
is terrible.
ordering
It's
child pussy.
Here's the premise. This is my impression of Woody Allen.
No, it wasn't.
Turn
no.
around and then turn around.
No, I never turned around. That was weird. It always used to have to deal with hip hop though. Like, what if Woody Allen was a fan of hip hop, and
Right.
then I would do a joke where he dissects Tone Loc or something.
Great. Great. I had a buddy.
Somehow he would say Wild Thing, and then it would kill.
You were close to Wild Thing. That was
Yes,
the punchline.
exactly.
Something.
Yeah,
Wild.
something Wild Thing.
You-
And then when I would do the Sammy Davis Jr. impression, and I remember Tommy Davidson did a similar joke on Arsenio Hall, and I was crushed because that was like my killer bit.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Tommy Davidson, everybody knows who he is. I got to drop the bit.
That's true, though.
Yeah.
You were right.
did he
It
call
seems
that-
absurd now.
Right, but it was right.
So you were in school, and then
So
what
I was
did
in
you
school.
probably made a living pretty quickly, I would think.
Well, what happened was I started working at the Improv in the Laugh Factory, and then I did it backwards, you know what I mean? Like I emceed there, and that was actually really good because I would bring up, like that's when Seinfeld was still doing the Laugh Factory,
Yeah.
and, you know, Rodney Dangerfield, all those guys. The good thing was I got to see really good stand-ups, so I didn't learn bad technique. You know how
Right.
some guys, you know, start out on the road, and, you know, their act is like a road act, and then
Yeah.
they got to come into town and get, you know, like original or
Would
whatever.
Rodney
So at least-
Dangerfield murder?
Oh, he would crush.
Wouldn't he do a
crush.
thing where he'd sit in the crowd at the Laugh Factory?
Well, it was just crazy because there was a time where he would go up all the time on the weekends,
Right.
And it would look like, you know, like he always had on these dolphin shorts, right? Which is fantastic.
Yeah.
So you were guaranteed to see at least one of his balls. Like it was
Okay.
it was like, okay, yeah, I'm going to see one of his balls tonight.
Yeah.
And then he would get on stage, and he was one of those guys that would kill the fastest. Like he would set up his act so perfectly. He'd go, I'm doing pretty good now, but earlier, and then all of a sudden he's right in his rhythm. Right?
Oh, that's fucking great.
Oh, it was fantastic.
He actually, on one of his records, has one of my favorite dumb crowd work lines, which is he goes, "What a crowd!" He goes, "You know me, I love crowds," which is just such a pandering, great thing to say to a crowd.
Right.
I think somebody told me that Rodney would sit in the crowd and you'd be like, "Rodney's here, everybody, say hello to Rodney,"
right.
And then he'd stand up.
That's the way you'd bring him up on stage because you never wanted to make it seem like, oh, Rodney's desperate for stage time. So it was like, oh, look, we're you know, and Jamie Masada, the owner of the club, would make a big deal about it. Man, this is what I need.
Buddy.
Look, buddy.
Look, you can't just bring him up.
Man, come on, the guy, buddy. He is Rodney Dangerfield.
Long
Okay,
balls. You got
everyone,
long ass balls.
this is what I'm going to need you to do, buddy. You bring Rodney up and you say, we have legend in house. Man is in his 70s. He can still do 1990. So he'd have you bring him up. You say, "Oh, you know, let's acknowledge him." He would stand up. He'd get a applause,
And everybody would be happy. There's
be happy.
few
They
guys
would.
that you'd be happy
Yeah,
to
no,
see
they
them.
were ecstatic.
Yeah.
and then he would come on stage. And
I
then
also
that's
like
how
the
he'd
idea
do his
that
thing.
comics would go to a comedy show and just sit in the crowd.
Right, exactly. I'm going to watch this hack. And
Yeah, somebody
But I
who's
guess
nowhere near as good.
but no one in the audience.
No,
knows.
I know. I just like
Yeah,
that
right.
conceit.
They're like, oh yeah.
And
Right.
would they? So would you go like, "Hey, Ronnie, would you mind?"
Yeah,
doing-"
that's exactly it. Would you mind coming up and gracing the audience with a little bit of something? And then,
Right.
oh, okay, I'll be here I come. And then he'd get on stage and do his thing.
Oh, and then he'd.
But
say
he
it.
was awesome. He was great.
Yeah.
He was great.
And he wrote a lot of jokes. I mean,
No,
that's-
he actually, that was the thing that I really liked. He was very brave. He would try new jokes. Like,
Yeah.
he wouldn't just go up there like, I'm just going to kill, you know?
Yeah.
Right.
So it was good. It was actually really
Did
cool.
you ever get with him back then, like sexually? Like
well, I mean, I saw his balls. So,
yeah, that's close enough.
Yeah.
That's close.
I mean,
do you have any crazy?
In a way, that's like getting.
Yeah. Well, do you have any crazy stories from back then? What comes
Well,
to
I'll
mind
tell you my first time on stage at the Laugh Factory.
Long balls. You got long ass balls.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does. My first time on stage at the Laugh Factory, I went on last, and I only had about 5 minutes of material, and it was terrible.
You have some of my favorite jokes, though.
But at the time, it was terrible.
Two-year-old jokes.
Okay, you can. And so. Jamie's in the back and he's going, stretch, buddy, stretch. And I'm thinking, whoa, I am destroying, right? This is incredible. So he goes, stretch. So I ended up doing about 20 minutes. And he goes,
what did you do?
I don't know. I was doing crowd work. I was doing stuff that I thought was good stories. I was just really trying to survive.
And was it doing well?
It was doing well enough. I think they thought, well,
did it do as well as the first 5 minutes?
No.
Okay.
No.
But it wasn't.
There was a weird,
bombing.
it wasn't bombing, and they didn't reject me. They just felt like, well, this guy really wants this. You know what I mean? So they bought it.
Who are we to say no?
Right. So then Jamie goes, bring up Sam Kinison, right? And so, at the time, I was still in college. Sam Kinison was the biggest thing in comedy.
Right.
And so I was hyped. I was like, whoa, my first time on stage, I'm opening for Sam Kinison.
And did they yell?
That's unbelievable, man.
Did he yell it from the back of the room like, bring up
bring up Sam Kinison. And
Right.
I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'm going to bring up Sam Kinison. So I'm super excited because my set is finally over.
Oh, yeah.
And it can't take a turn for the worse. I bring up Kinison. Kinison he's coked out of his mind.
Right.
Out of his mind. And he's really just stopping at the club to get some free drinks.
Right.
At Jamie's expense.
Yeah.
And so he orders a drink on stage, and he's just ranting, and it's not making any sense. And he goes on for about 15 minutes.
You were the MC, or
I was the last comic up.
Oh, got
and
it.
so
okay.
he asked me to bring him up. Like everybody had left. It was late on like a Wednesday night, and so. He at one point I remember he gets the shot glass, drinks it, and then throws the shot glass in the back of the room. Right? it was clearly not comedy at all. It was just in that ugly spear, and then he kicks over the stool.
He's like losing it.
He's losing it, and then just makes his way off stage. And everyone in the audience, this is like probably 10 people in the audience and myself, we're just sitting there stunned. Like, this is the most terrifying thing we have ever seen.
Did he say goodnight or he just walked?
Not really, and if he did, it was probably mean,
This is Louis C.K. coming on stage doing this kind of stuff. We're like,
I mean, it was completely...
To put it in context.
I mean, even more, even.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah,
but
no,
this
like
was,
a rock and roll.
Yeah.
Right.
You're just like,
right.
it's Louis. And then
Right,
you're like, oh, I don't. Why is he like
why
that?
Why is he mean and angry?
Did anyone Twitter about it? And
It was old man days. It was
TJ
pre-Twitter.
Miller.
Wait.
TJ wrote a really mean tweet about Sam that night. Go ahead.
So
Get up off Twitter.
He gets off a stage, and then Jamie's like, close the show, buddy, close the show. Like nothing happened, right?
Yeah.
So I come back on stage, and hey, everybody, Sam Kinison, wasn't he great? Like trying to pretend like nothing had happened, like we'd just seen, And so I'm standing outside after the thing. Everything sort of wraps up. And I'm standing next to these people that drove in from, like, Palmdale.
Right.
Their first time at the Laugh Factory. And we're both kind of, like, still blown away by it. And they lean over to me and they go, does that usually happen like that often? Is Sam Kinison normally like that? And I'm like, I have no idea. I'm brand new.
Yeah. Were you still in college?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
That's crazy.
So that was my first real comedy club.
That is such an LA first set. You know what I mean? It's like, oh, the biggest guy in comedy, your hero has a meltdown on your first set ever. Like,
and it's like, what exactly am I getting into?
Right.
What?
And here you are 20 years later.
Right.
What's the worst intro you've ever gotten?
The worst intro I've ever gotten?
Well, black clubs are notorious for shitty intros.
Right. Walk people through that, because they might not know
this is
that.
Black People Club, Hey, I don't know if this next motherfucker funny or not.
Right. Probably not.
Yeah, he came in here with a backpack on, so he probably ain't. What's your name again? Sujri. Something. Come on up here.
Yeah. Yep.
I've had that before.
I've had versions.
Okay, here's one. I went to I was early in my comedy career. We got asked, me and Jacob Siroff and Sherry Siroff and I think Brent Weinbach and Sheng Wang all got asked to do this frat party in Berkeley, and they were like, this speaks to what you were talking about. The dude was like, oh, it's the coolest frat. Like, there's going to be 600 people there. It's going to be so great. Come on down. We'd love to have you do it. No pay. And at the time, we were like, we'd pay. Who gets paid for comedy?
Right.
So we all go down there. And there's this 80s band on, and then they stop the 80s band, and they're just about to start the comedy portion. Like, it was like, after the 80s band, it's you guys. And he comes up to us, he goes, okay, one more little detail. The cops come at like 10 p.m. every Friday night just to make sure we're in code. So what we have to do is we have to tell everybody to go into the house. It was in a courtyard. Go into the house and hide. And then we'll start the show. And we're like, what? And he goes, yeah, no problem. So he goes, okay, everybody leave. Everybody go. And then everybody like leaves and goes and hides in this house. And the only people that are left are the people that were too drunk to hear what he was saying.
Right.
And then he's like, ladies and gentlemen, Moshe Kasher. And somebody started booing before I began.
Right.
And then Sherry Siroff went up and somebody tried to like grab her pussy or something, and she like did a roundhouse kick, like tried to kick him in the face, and that was the worst intro.
This is the movie Roadhouse,
basically. But can you imagine? Like, everyone leave. All right, let's start the show.
And did the audience ever come back?
We all left. Sherry went up for 3 minutes, was like, fuck this is stupid. I went on for 30 seconds, and then we all just said, this isn't worth it. We left.
Right.
Yeah. No, I got Josh Nasser, comedian in L.A., this is 3 years ago, he was emceeing, and then he, at the Laugh Factory, and he basically was like, fuck, he got into an argument with the crowd, and he's like, man, fuck, I'll fucking fight you. I'll take this outside. Neal Brennan. He didn't do. It was fucking awful.
Yeah, you go get that.
Doug, what about you?
I got a bad outro once.
Yeah, what was it?
Well, it was at that what's that really bad club in like Universal Studio Walk or whatever.
All of them?
Oh,
yeah.
John Lovitz.
John Lovett's club.
Yeah.
The
place that finishes second to the piano bar.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, oh, look, they like pianos.
Yeah. And, I just didn't
and
belong
they hate
there.
Comedy.
No one did. You were a comedian.
I just didn't belong there, and then I kind of did bad. And then like the local guy that like was sitting around waiting to go up, that like just goes and crushes all the time, like just comes up and he's like, I don't know what the fuck that was. Like
obnoxious.
Something like that. And then everyone's laughing,
What is your theory when someone bombs? Do you do you have a hard and fast rule about shitting on them?
No, you shouldn't
shit
on them, man.
Not really. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen some dudes.
What if they shit on what if they stink? But not like they suck, like they fart on stage. No, what if they just suck like in a way that you're like, you're awful, and you shouldn't do stand up?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll go after somebody like that.
I had.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I'll do that.
That's that story about Bruce and Black Boy.
Yeah.
So Bruce, I opened for Bruce a few times, and his feature was a guy named Black Boy. So that already created some tension when I had to introduce a guy named Black Boy to a largely black audience who didn't know that the guy's real name was Black Boy.
I don't mean any disrespect by this.
Racist
no
epithet.
Disrespect, Black Boy.
But what was funny was the guy would. Black Boy would, depending on how I did, be like, give it up for that white boy, he's funny, or what the fuck, night after night after night. Like, there was no, like, he wasn't my ally or my enemy. He was just like, he had a rule. If I did poorly, he would make fun of me.
Yeah.
If I did well, he would give me love.
Boy, what about
there was no loyalty there.
Right.
Yeah. I feel like, because I met you in 92, 93. It seemed like you never really had a day job, right?
No, I mean, no, not since I started doing comedy. No.
Which was college.
Yeah, that was college. So yeah, no, I haven't.
So
but like, to me, like, writing jobs are day jobs.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, those are day jobs.
Nah.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Dude, if you got to be at the Tonight Show at 8:30
Not
a.m.
a day job.
That's a day job.
That's a day job.
So you're saying somebody that is writing for Tonight Show is like got a day job again?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
If you don't like writing that kind of joke,
well,
let me
and
just say,
you know what?
Y'all
Yeah, that's the
y'all
thing.
been writing too long.
No,
to think that.
dude.
A
If
day
you're
job
writing
is
what
a
you-
soul-sucking, like you've got a boss that you hate, and you're not doing anything creative.
that all checks out for that job.
Yeah.
And you're not
Yeah.
doing. I think you guys.
If you're right,
I've had those. No, not at all. I've had those kind of jobs where the reason that you have been hired, you don't get to use any of those skill sets at all.
I feel what you're saying.
And that is a job by definition. When you leave that place and you go rush to the stage to remind yourself that you're actually funny,
right? But
and your ideas are good.
I
That
feel
is
what
the
you're
definition
saying,
of a day job.
But to me,
and there's that justification that because they're paying you a certain amount of money,
and it is technically comedy,
right? And it is
it's
technically
in the entertainment
comedy.
industry. Getting paid in the entertainment industry is by definition not a day job in the classic sense of don't quit your day job.
Right, but if you'd rather make it as a comedian, if you'd rather make all your money as a stand-up,
I'm not saying it's not soul sucking. I'm just saying
there's certain times where I'll have one of those kind of jobs, and then I'll go into a comedy room and I'll go, oh yeah, you have the freedom to actually say what you truly believe in.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
As opposed to writing something that has to appeal to middle America, or seriously, it has no bite on it whatsoever.
Right.
What by definition is a job.
What are you doing now?
I just finished doing the Kids' Choice Awards.
Oh,
How
cool.
about that?
That's pretty
How about
cool.
that? That was actually really fun because I have a 7-year-old, so.
And you're writing for Will Smith,
and
right?
I'm writing for Will Smith. So that,
you're friends with Will, right?
Yeah.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Does he really have powers? Like, does he pick heavy stuff up and stuff like that?
It seems like he can at this point.
You were in 92, 93, because I remember meeting you with the Wayans brothers. Chris Spencer. I guess you were like the clique.
Yeah.
Back then.
Yeah, me and Alex Thomas.
Alex Thomas, Daryl Heath.
And Daryl Heath.
Where is he?
He needs to come back to comedy because he is literally one of the funniest guys I know.
Yeah, really funny dude. But didn't he find the Lord maybe?
He did yes, he did.
One of the lesser funny things you can do is find the Lord.
Probably the least.
That and working out. Intense working out.
Although Chappelle works out and he's still funny.
Yeah, he's still funny.
He's the exception.
But you just can't go to Joe Piscopo land.
He calls himself, he went Piscopo.
Oh, really?
Dave calls
Well,
it
that's
going
funny,
Piscopo.
though, because he's acknowledging it.
Neal, stop dropping my name.
Okay, so you were making a living as a comic, right?
Yeah,
and then when did you decide? Because it felt like you guys were the only guy, like you were open to writing.
Well,
I want to explain to people that in the black community, it's kind of writing is kind of considered corny.
Is that right?
Well, here's the thing.
Writing,
I'll tell you this. People would say to me a lot, like, you should write for other people. And my first instinct was, well, they're kind of a terrible comic. Why would I want to write for them?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I started writing after I was on the Jamie Foxx Show. What happened was Jamie started hosting stuff, like he hosted the MTV Awards.
Yeah.
I'm
and
your conscience.
It just so happened that he was like, hey, write this stuff for me. So I stepped into that stuff, and it worked out, So I wrote for him on the MTV.
How many episodes were you doing? A lot. Were you a regular?
I ended up on his show. I did 25 of the 100, so I did about.
You were in a quarter of the episodes.
Yeah.
By my calculations.
Yes, right.
And then
after that, like he hosted the MTV Awards, and he did the ESPY Awards a couple times.
Yep.
And so that I would write like his stuff, and then. It started, the word kind of gets around. Oh, he's a good writer. He's got good ideas, and then you work from there.
But that's the thing is in the black. That's almost not. That's like, I've had this conversation with people about why it's not. Where in the white comedy, being a writer is
it's fantastic. Yeah, it's great.
Whereas in black comedy, it's kind of like corny.
You gave up, huh?
Yeah, it's like a last. I don't know any black comics that are writers and
performers.
Yeah, I guess Donald Glover wrote and Hannibal wrote.
Wait, didn't we have Dion?
Oh yeah, Dion.
Well, Dion's on Conan. Yeah, he's a good comic and a good
he's
writer
a very
too.
good comic and a very good writer. But and he also gets to perform a lot.
Right.
But that's the thing.
I mean, that's part of it. Like I like doing these writing jobs. It's but I also like to make sure I perform too.
Right.
Because I think like comedy is where you fact check all that stuff. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like, well, that's like the front line. You know what I mean? Like, you can get very isolated in these writing jobs and create stuff that may not actually be funny.
Performing is the front line.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And that's why I wish more writers would perform.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of writers will hide behind the fact that they're writing for somebody more famous.
And they never have to.
And they never have to fact check their jokes.
Yeah, but there's a difference between, you have to be able to perform.
But I'm saying, what we're saying is that
the more you write, you can hide behind not having to
if you're just a writer, be like, I could have sold that, or what?
Right.
it's like there's the map and then there's the actual battle, and performing is the battle.
Yeah,
right?
well, it's like people on Twitter now. Now that's the new generation of that. It's like I always want to write this tweet, but I'm afraid that certain people will get upset with me.
Off Twitter.
When Twitter jumps the shark, so many almost comics are going to be very disappointed. You know,
Oh,
it's like, there's so many nearly comic people on
like,
Twitter.
that feels that
it's
sounds
almost
like
funny,
a joke.
but if you take it one
certainly has
step,
the shape of it. But I like that's the thing
But
about performing.
I also think too, like snarky is such a easy move in comedy.
Oh, it's the
you know what I
it's
mean?
the lowest. Sarcasm is the lowest form of comedy.
Yeah.
It's beneath puns. I think puns.
I disagree with both of you.
Really?
What do you think is the lowest form of comedy?
I think that the discussion of what the lowest form of comedy is
the lowest form of comedy.
Is the lowest form of discourse about comedy, because it's like I have always resented, and no offense, but I've always resented like anybody that's saying like, oh, that dude's funny but he's blue, or that dude's funny but he's it's like funny.
No, I'm not saying. I think you can do pun. I think Jeff Ross is the greatest pun writer in the history of puns.
Right.
Like his puns, half of Jeff's jokes shouldn't work.
They shouldn't. I agree.
And
I agree.
But they're fucking funny.
Right,
The
right.
ultimate Jeff Ross joke to me was, Joan Rivers, you're a cougar. A Freddy Cougar. Which to me it's a fucking pun, but it's such a good pun.
Right.
So I'm not saying all puns are bad.
No.
And I'm not saying all sarcasm is bad. Obviously, a guy like Bill Murray or David Letterman are like fucking Picassos of sarcasm.
Yeah, I just don't. What's the highest form of comedy? There's no. This is. It's such an arbitrary, nonsensical.
Ricky Gervais.
It's like nothing's low or high.
I mean, but I would say there's level of difficulty.
I mean,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.
So,
I'll tell you this: a lot of comedy that I watch right now, I'm like, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely.
You guys,
a lot of it.
No, I feel you, but that doesn't mean you're right or wrong. I'm just saying, like
it does mean you feel us, though.
Yeah.
No, I understand what you are saying, but it does. I mean, now I'm gonna. Okay, I'm just. It sounds like.
No, I'm happy. We're happy. This is the place to have this discussion.
It just sounds a little bit like
everyone
two old
in the
school
world.
comedy writers going like, these kids.
And
these
I don't
days.
know, and I'm not even like that. And
But you guys aren't
can
old.
do
I know
whatever
you're not old.
I mean, like, I keep the parameters of comedy open. You can do whatever as long as it's funny and it's coming from an honest place. You know what I mean? But most of what I see, I'm like, okay, if that works.
But I think that there.
course,
But don't you think that there's higher level? I don't think that every like what do you think is the funniest show ever?
Ali G.
Okay, so that's a high level. I would put that at a high level of comedy.
Right.
But that's also straight up idiotically stupid. That show is not sophisticated. It's not. Bill Maher is a much higher level of sophistication than Ali G.
That's subject matter. You're talking about subject matter, and then you're talking about structure.
I just reject.
Ali G's subject matter is basically idiotic, but the structure is cool. Creating a fake character and then having him talk to real politicians in an interview that are trapped is structurally had never really been done before.
Right. But I'm just saying.
And
like,
his commitment level is where the brilliance comes.
But there's a lot of people that would look at that and just say, "Oh, look, this is just some guy being a buffoon."
Right, but I'm not saying I'm not talking about a lot of people. I'm talking about people that can do it. I'm talking about people that can do it. That's a very high level of difficulty.
But you guys saying like sarcasm is the lowest form of comedy. I
think soccer moms can do sarcasm. That's what I mean.
Yeah, and I was saying more snarky comedy, which is beyond sarcasm. It's just, I don't like this. You know what I mean? Like it's so basic to me.
Is it like retweeting Kim Kardashian and saying, because you're lame?
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I think there are good versions of that, though.
Exactly.
I think there are legitimately good.
But it's low hanging fruit, is what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. It's like, well, that was the difference between Sasha's movie.
We all
Bruno.
agree.
I'll give you this.
But Moshe may not agree.
I think
it's like Bobby Brown being arrested jokes. Like it's so easy, really. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I'm not saying there's no such thing as easy comedy. For sure there is. I'm just saying that when we start to say, oh, this kind of comedy is easy, it's like, because there's very easy and very like weird. Just hear me out here. Like I came up in in the clubs, but also in the alt scene. There's incredibly easy alt stuff. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you're just doing a character without pretending to have bad jokes. So the anti stand up. Okay, but there's all kinds of ease within every aspect of everything, comedy-wise. And I
Yeah.
don't think that you can point and say this is the enemy. It's like everything is.
No, but I'm saying in general, sarcasm to me is the lowest form of it.
I hear you.
Take what's happening and you say the opposite.
It's
like it's a child, like a 4-year-old can do it.
Yeah.
Right.
And a soccer mom who has a terrible sense of humor can do it.
Right.
If anyone can do it, and that's the thing. I always had a theory that in the 80s, every white person on earth talked like Bill Murray and David Letterman, and every black person talked like Eddie Murphy.
Right.
Everyone was doing that.
I agree.
And including Will Smith.
I agree.
Will Smith is doing the best Eddie Murphy impression.
Yeah, the rhythm is similar.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, this was something interesting that happened in comedy. When Def Jam exploded,
Yeah.
in that time that it exploded, black comedy was defined as Def Jam like that. I remember doing comedy right before that,
Right.
and I could get up on stage and do whatever I wanted.
Right.
And people would go, all right, we'll go for the ride and see what you're talking about. Once Def Jam hit, if you weren't a Def Jam style comic,
Yeah.
the audience would check out on you immediately.
That's funny.
Is that why you wrote that bit? Is that why you wrote that?
Yeah. Oh,
that,
yeah.
That bit? I know
Yeah.
that's a great bit. Your Def Jam comedy.
Yeah,
What's the bit?
exactly. I
It's a
did
big
this
thing.
character. I was up at the Aspen Comedy Festival, and they had like this side comedy festival. These guys from Boulder, Colorado, which was actually terrible. And so I came up with this comic named Smallpox, and it was a takeoff of that Def Jam style
Right.
of comedy, where the dude was just loud and had energy, but he had jokes about anything,
Right.
like absolutely nothing. It was stuff that people would easily identify with, you know.
Yeah.
Give it up for the 5 senses.
Oh yeah, right. That's
I
right.
said give it up for the 5 senses.
Yeah.
Because they all different, y'all. They all different. I mean, seeing's all like, huh? And then hearing's all like, what? Lickety-lack. Comedy's back.
That's right. Lickety-lack comedy's back. I remember.
But the funny thing was I stopped doing that bit because it was way more popular than my actual
That's hilarious. Yeah, well, that's funny. It never recovered from that. It didn't really recover from it because Chris Tucker was technically a Def Jam comic.
Right.
Steve Harvey, the Kings of Comedy, all were Def Jam comics.
Right.
I guess Dave was
Dave's
the only.
not.
Even
though he did it, but he's really
But Dave
not.
didn't do that well on it.
Right.
And was like super
And
bummed
Chris
about
Rock is not.
it. No, Chris,
No.
absolutely. Chris was the antidote to to Def Comedy Jam.
Right.
But there was 5-6 years where
Yeah, it was. I mean, it took a long time.
Well, also what happened was Def Comedy Jam came out, and they had a real quality product, and then that product got diluted, and then Comic View came along and diluted their diluted product by 100 times, and then what you had was...
Yeah, it was terrible.
No shit.
now, okay, so then you were working with how did you know? So you were just a comic for 5-6 years and an actor and
Yeah.
And
then I started writing and added that to the mix.
Do you feel like you wish you could like if you could just do one, it would just be perform and be a comic?
No.
Hell no. No, I like doing all of it. The one thing I've noticed about writing more in the past few years is I miss the performing side of it. Because as a writer, you're usually one of many, and you don't necessarily get the credit for what you create when you're part of a writing staff. Whereas with stand-up and with the acting and stuff, you immediately get
way too much credit.
Yeah, exactly. You get too much credit. And I noticed yesterday when I was at the Kids' Choice Awards, I went to go find my kids, and people were recognizing me as a performer.
Right.
They were like, "Oh, well, what are you doing right now?" I'm like, "Well, I'm doing this," and then they would kind of get a little disappointed, like. Well, what do you mean? You know what I mean? Like it doesn't. People don't hold it in the same regard.
That's the thing about performing and writing is that people way overestimate performance.
Yes, they do.
They can't believe it.
Absolutely.
Like that's the thing. I get people go like, "Dude, you were in fucking Get Him to the Greek."
Right.
It took me 45 minutes. I had a scene in Get Him to the Greek. It took me I showed up, did it, and left.
Right.
And people were like, "Fucking." I could see that, whereas writing is invisible. So people are like, oh yeah, I don't know what that is.
So it's like the dude at the club that goes, "Yeah, I produce." You know what I mean? Like it doesn't mean anything.
Did you? So you went to go pick your kids up at the Kids' Choice?
Well, they were there, and I was backstage.
At a certain point, did you think maybe you would choose some other kids instead?
Well, there was
You
a
had
lot of kids there.
And you
so
had a choice to
yeah,
make.
sure, exactly.
You're like mine or a new one.
I kept mine because
I'm
mine.
gonna go with Will Smith's kids because they're in movies right now.
Yeah, but they. Yeah.
Their IMDb star meter is higher. Is all I'm saying. I'm sure your kids are
There's
lovely.
a lot. Yes, they are.
But you have to look
His
at that
daughter, Suli's daughter, is an actress.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
and
sorry.
she actually did the orange carpet stuff for Access Hollywood.
Oh,
So
okay.
she was out front interviewing.
Did she, as a
everybody.
host?
As a host.
God, how old
As
is she?
She's 14.
Oh,
Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
I hear you, brother.
oh,
Does she look
almost grown up.
Does she look like an adult?
Not yet, but like I'm at that must go gun shopping phase, like right now of our father-daughter relationship.
You guys are super close, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm still at that. I'm still at that point where I'm cool, but I know I'm on the clock. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
like you're about to become my enemy?
Yeah, like I'm about to be. Dad, stop dancing! Stop! I'm about to be that guy.
Is it an orange carpet because it's young girls, so they haven't yet become women, and then it becomes the red carpet?
Wow.
Fuck.
Wow.
That's so good.
Wow.
I love that. I don't care what you got. Was that sarcasm?
No, it might as well have. You might have done better.
Here's the thing about this podcast. Like, there's a lot of podcasts where the host will support the jokes, but Neal is trying to find the bad jokes when I tell them. He's like trying. It's not about laughing at the good ones. It's about hating on the bad ones. He's more interested in hating on the bad
Here's my only, and it's pitch. It's what they call pitch. When you're a
We're
batter,
not kidding, Neal. This is real.
what pitches to swing at?
Right.
You'll swing at anything.
Good eye.
That's rude. Actually.
You're not saying good eye to him.
No.
No,
Good eye.
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
It's just selecting when to fucking hit it.
You're not funny.
I
You're
don't think it's rude.
annoying.
I think that's what I'm talking about.
It's like Dodgers fans. Did you ever go to the Dodgers game?
No.
This year was the best year to go to a Dodger
They don't.
game.
I didn't go this year, but
You should have. You
usually,
missed out.
Usually they don't cheer for the Dodgers. They cheer against the other team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's
That's
very
kind of like
true.
Neal.
That's very true.
In your theory, I'm not really saying that. But
My theory, I'm looking for good baseball. I'm cheering for good
Moshe's theory.
baseball.
Right. But you don't really. What you do is you do a good joke every once in a while, and then like a long meandering question. Is that?
Yeah.
That's your thing. Yeah. That's it. I mean, we all have our style.
Yeah. And then I'll edit the question.
Know your
I'll
move.
edit your joke.
Know your move. Yeah.
Right. There we go.
trying to
Here's one of these
meander.
meandering
Okay.
questions.
Yeah. Go ahead. Get in it.
Your do you have your daughter's an actress?
She's an
Do you have
actress.
misgivings about that?
That was a home
I
run.
did it. I did it first.
That's a I'm not talking about jokes.
you just
All right, here's all your questions.
Wow. I did have misgivings about it before. Then she went through this period where she didn't really work or go out that much, which was great because then she got to just be a kid.
Was she bummed about that?
She was. She
Right.
really
And
was.
how did you walk her through it?
What was that like?
Well, I was going through it as well. So.
That's hilarious. You guys are trying to make
telling people
YouTube
they're
videos.
wrong,
Baby, we got to go viral.
Yeah, we got to do something.
Punch me in the face.
Right. Do something, please.
Is that her only aspiration? Is to be an actress?
No, she. You know how kids
You
are.
never
Sometimes
will
they
be
just want to
famous.
sound good to the parents and all adults. So she was saying that she wanted to be a thoracic surgeon, which I thought was hilarious because she really didn't know what that was, but she knew the word sounded good.
I also do not know what that is. What is a thoracic surgeon?
I don't know.
Does anyone here know?
I don't know.
No, I think it's heart based. Anybody?
thoracic.
It sounds expensive. Whatever.
It
is.
sounds
Dinosaur
Yeah,
related.
it sounds like it's going to get
Dinosaur
you.
or Dr. Seuss related, one of the two.
It's going to get you a good Gucci purse, regardless.
And
I'm sorry. What were
so
you saying?
now she's starting to work again?
Yeah, she's starting to work again now, and I figure, she's 14, so.
What does your wife do?
Let's do it. She is a manager.
Geez, so you have just an entertainment-laden family.
I do, and my son is doing commercials and stuff now.
He's directing them.
Yeah, he is.
How old's your son?
My son is
7.
Martin Scorsese. Did I?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Did I say that?
Clarify.
Yeah, he's 7.
Did you push him at all?
No, not at all.
He just said.
Not at all.
And do you give
Actually,
them
the first audition I took my daughter at, there was a total stage mom there with 3 other kids, and one of them was auditioning at the time, and so the 2 other ones were playing, and they made the one that was about to audition cry, and the mom snapped on the other 2, like, "Look what you did! She's got to go audition," and it scared me to death. About,
it was siblings you're saying? That
yeah,
made-
sibling,
oh, wow.
yeah, and
Right.
so
they can't be children because
because one of them
the
has to
makeup.
audition, yeah, and so it really scared me about what we were getting her
You're
into.
fucking up my money.
Yeah, exactly.
It wasn't you hurt her feelings. It's
Yeah.
like she's got to. That's the thing about kid actors that's so creepy is how you on set when you've got a baby crying. You know how you make the baby cry? you make the baby cry.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
When there's a baby crying in a movie, you basically have to fucking hurt the baby.
Well, it's weird too because
That no one thinks about it. It's not like a dog where you can put a fake doll up and then the dog will snap at it. You have to upset the baby a bunch of times.
Right.
That is really disgusting.
Right.
It's why you fail.
Did you give her a preamble like, look, this is it's fucked up?
You know what's good about my kids is like it's kind of how I approach the business. While I'm doing it, I'm in it, and then once I like get off stage or leave or whatever, I don't think about it anymore. You know what I mean? Like
you don't think about your children once they're not in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. That's typical black dad, right? It's from the Sean Kim school, right?
No, but what do you mean?
No, but what I mean, I'm really good about turning it off. Like once it's done, it's done. You know, I don't really trip off it over that. Like the business part of it, and they have that too. My kids have that. Like my son will go on an audition, and I'll ask him about it afterwards. It's cool. And he's over it. You know what I mean?
He's not like, did they call?
Yeah, exactly. What's up?
Any word from hello?
I was very charming.
Like them greenbacks.
And do you... All right, that's great. How about your wife?
I think she's more into it than I am.
Into their careers?
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah.
Do you ever talk about that?
Sometimes.
Would you like to talk about it now?
Right now? I want them to stop immediately.
Does your wife represent them?
No, they have agents, but usually wives are the ones that do the driving and stuff to get them there.
Well, that's a woman's way.
Yeah,
it's a woman's
exactly.
place.
That's the way it's supposed to be.
And sometimes the jokes come together.
He's misogynistic.
So is he.
Yeah. And then, and who does your wife manage?
Just right now, just the kids.
Oh, God. So
Yeah.
she does represent so she's very into them.
Yeah, exactly.
She does represent.
Yeah.
Them. Oh, okay.
I mean, she represented like 2 comics, couple writers,
hip hop,
and an actor before.
I do consider myself the luckiest woman in the world.
Okay, so how did you start acting?
I was doing a show in Irvine at the Irvine Improv, and there were these casting directors for Married with Children in the audience, which that doesn't happen in comedy clubs anymore. And I had a good set, and they said, we want to bring you in for this show. So I auditioned for Married with Children.
Did you get on it?
And I got the part.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, it was pretty amazing for...
That's crazy.
That should be your only credit.
That should be.
I mean, it's so awesome.
I've actually been recognized for that part on Married with Children, which kind of is very weird because it's like I don't watch TV that closely.
Yeah.
And I played this dude that worked at a record store that knew every song. So if you came into the record store and you hummed the song, I would know exactly what the song was. Right. And Al Bundy came in. That's really not an appropriate laugh right there. Al Bundy came in and he hummed the song and I knew what it was. So
Al Bundy came in
to the store that I worked at called Final Vinyl.
And
it's back when they had records.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
what was the song? Do you remember?
It was this song called "Go with Him."
And Al,
he hummed it. I knew exactly what it was, and then he bought the record because he had wanted this record because he had this song stuck in his head.
How many lines did you have?
I think I maybe had 4 lines.
And it's not when you say people recognize you, it's not the black people thing where they recognize anyone.
No, I've had. Like,
can you explain that to the listeners?
Well, the black people thing is that they just think that you're in everything. You know what I mean? Like, is that what you're saying?
I'm saying black people will recognize someone with a fucking line.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Like, you was in the party scene in that one movie. Which one was that? They know everything.
Yeah, which is actually kind of sweet.
Yes, it is. That means that we support our own.
Yeah,
that's true.
We hold it down.
In fact, like no other group.
Right.
There certainly is a lot of love.
There is a lot of love.
But I also think in that case, it's a matter of there's so few black people on television that the one. I mean,
I do this joke on stage where I say, like if I'm working like a regular comedy club, it's like, well, some of you have never seen me before, but if we were going to go to the Fox Hills Mall right now, I would be Leonardo DiCaprio. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that just gives you the flip of it.
Yeah, I mean, we may put you as Crazy Legs.
It probably would be, it probably would work.
How often do you get recognized as Crazy Legs?
It's 50-50. It's if it's not Jamie Foxx, it's Don't Be a Menace.
Right.
So it happens all the time.
Right.
And when you least expect it, and then sometimes it's not even nice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I was in Houston and I was going through the airport there, the security, and some lady just goes, "Jamie Foxx left your ass."
Damn.
Fucked up shit right there, man.
I guess she's saying he got really famous.
Yes,
and,
exactly, and you didn't.
Why was she mad? What
I don't know. I don't know what the anger was about.
Did you look at her?
I didn't know what to make of it. You know what I mean? I was like, well, that's not really a positive thing to say.
No, I'm saying it in support.
Mm-hmm. So you need to catch up.
You got kids.
Mm-hmm.
How do how did you meet Will Smith?
I did an episode of The Fresh Prince.
Nice.
This is actually a good story. And I played this guy that his girlfriend had just broke up with him, and I was depressed.
Right.
And a little time with Will cheered me up. And so in this scene, it's probably like 4 or 5 lines between us. They were stuck on a joke and couldn't come up with this punchline for Will. And in the run through, I pitched a joke back in the day before I was a writer or anything, and it worked.
Yeah.
And they were like, "Oh, that's great." And so I remember all the writers on staff were like, "Ah, that's awesome. How'd you come up with that?" I was like,
I do stand up.
Yeah, exactly. So that's how we first met, and it's interesting, a bunch of years later.
Well, that's one of your buddies. That's the I tell, like, I love pitching people jokes.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like you and I were like buddies.
Right.
Just like, hey, maybe say this, maybe say that. But
and there's some comics that are really they don't like that. You know what I mean? Like they don't really want you to help them.
I think that's silly. I'd always take a tag. Why would I not take a tag?
Right.
I wish people gave me tags every fucking day if they work.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even if they don't work, I can just say no, thank you. I would rather hear it than not. I don't resent you for going. What would be really funny on that bit?
Yeah, what you're basically saying is, I know you were paying attention to what I was doing, but I don't need your help.
Right.
Yeah. Also, like, I know the joke pretty well. I've been doing it for 3 months, so I know how she
You and him can kiss my ass.
No, yeah, that's I always feel like that, and that's kind of the job until the end of comedy.
Absolutely.
It's just, even if you're a director, you're a writer, you're an actor, it's just like, can you generate anything funny?
Right.
Then please come and help us.
Right. That's the thing that I'll always like about comedy is that search for the better joke. You know what I mean? That's you. If you don't have that at the core, you're in trouble.
Do you agree? I had the thought yesterday that if you're in comedy and you're not writing a lot of it, you're a bitch.
Oh, absolutely.
What?
If you're in comedy and you're not really writing, you're basically a bitch.
I don't.
Meaning, like, you're not doing enough. It's like most of comedy is in writing.
Right.
Like, meaning most of the comedy generation is in like even Bill Murray's in movies, but he ad-libs a lot of the shit.
Right.
And like Steve Carell wrote 40-Year-Old Virgin.
Wait, hold on. You're saying that that the highest virtue within comedy is the virtue of writing the bit.
Yeah.
Oh, so if you're not writing, you're a bitch?
Yeah.
I kind of disagree completely with that.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, I'm not. I'm a writer.
I'm not. But I know what you're getting at. No, but because there are literally editing jokes on a lot of the shit he edits Tim and Eric. He edits Portlandia.
Okay.
You are actually shaping the comedy in a way that is I would consider writing.
But I look at
I'm kind of a bitch though because I don't get.
No, also you write.
I do write. Sometimes.
You also.
So you're not a bitch.
Whenever we say you're an editor,
I'm a bitch sometimes though.
No, but whenever we say you're an editor, you always say I also write. Meaning, like, don't forget the real contribution. What you would consider the real contribution.
Yeah, I think that's interesting though because it's like when I look at you and like let's say Chris D'Elia, right?
Right.
Like you can't do what Chris D'Elia does.
Absolutely not.
And vice versa, probably.
Absolutely. But that's the irony. D'Elia is one of the few guys that's ever given me a tag. I promise. That's what's funny is I have 2 things in my act that are from D'Elia and Joe Rogan.
Right.
2 guys that no one are like known for their writing.
Well, Joe's not known for being a overly performative dude. He's a stand-up.
No, he performs.
He's a good.
He's a really good performer.
What does D'Elia do that Neal doesn't do?
He's a fucking magnet. He's
a magnetic performer.
Beyond fucking.
But he's also a physical dynamo.
Yeah.
And when I look at Chris, I go, I can't do that. That's a comedy skill set that I don't have.
Absolutely. The first time I saw D'Elia, I said to him, I'll put all my money on you.
Yeah.
Right.
Or
right.
like 4 years ago, just like,
Or-
oh, you're gonna make it.
Melissa
Right.
Villaseñor too. I mean, I just can't do. These are things I don't have.
But
I
I'm
don't have
not
in my-
saying because you think, what about Jim Carrey? I feel like Jim wrote enough shit. You know what I mean? Like Jim wrote
who literally doesn't write anything. No one.
No, well, that's what I mean. So what I'm saying is, if you're in comedy and you're not writing the material, you're not.
Are you going to be funny?
That to me is the highest virtue. Do you think? Would you put performing above it?
No,
Or would you put it parallel?
Oh, you mean someone that just performs, but someone else writes all their stuff?
Yes.
Right. Like is Bill
There's so
Murray?
Well, no,
people
that's a
left.
real. That's not a bitch. That's a real rich person. Like if you're at the level where like you
yes,
don't have to
but
write your
having
own
said
stuff
that-
anymore.
But
You're saying-
writer performers are game changers. You know what
Right.
I mean?
Having said that, most of the rich guys, Sandler, Eddie Murphy, these guys write. Jim Carrey writes. He's involved with development. I'm trying to think of who else.
I had something funny happen though recently where I did this comedy festival in San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
And the reporter that did the local article basically did this, snarky take where he was shitting on the festival, and then he shitted on me in particular.
As a comedian,
as
or
a
just
comedian,
like in some.
well, just as a
Before he'd seen
comedian,
you or after?
Before he saw me.
Hate
Right.
these fucking people
and,
the most, man. Fuck a reporter.
And
But they were doing it as a joke?
No, not at all. Like I didn't get that. You know what I mean? And so my time to perform is valuable to me because I don't get to do it as much as I want to. So I really took offense to it and actually ran into the guy before my show and let him know about it.
What'd you say?
I called him a cocksucker.
You just said you're a cocksucker.
No, I said, I saw he had this media credential, and I was like, oh, are you here to film the show? He goes, no. I go, are you a reporter? He goes, yeah. I go, did you write that article in the paper? And he said, yeah. I said, dude, you're entitled to your opinion, but I'm going to be real with you. I've been doing this a long time. I take what I do very seriously, and that was a cocksucker move.
Yeah.
This is very disrespectful.
And I told him straight up. I said, yo, you have all the right to judge me based on what I do on stage, but don't, take a shot at me without seeing what I do.
What was the shot?
Well, he was like, I didn't really care for this guy, and it was based off some clip that he saw on YouTube.
Right.
You know what I mean? Which was like, come on, dude.
Say what?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm willing to go here, spend the time, and show people what I do. You know what I mean? And let that be that. Don't sell me out coming into the door.
I just had a dude do that to me. Some bitch ass fool that needs his teeth kicked.
You were a little bitch.
He forgot he was fucking with a real street cat.
That's right. You know what I'm saying? Cupertino.
But this dude basically got a copy of my book to review, and then didn't review the book. Just like went online and looked at clips of my stand-up, and then gave his opinion on my stand-up, which is like, first of all, not the full
Not the
representation
point, yeah.
of
Right,
me, and
right.
also you don't know shit about stand up. Like
You're an
I was
idiot.
thinking,
Put your
like,
pants-
if this dude he had like it said that he had like a PhD in literature or something.
Right.
It's like if this dude went to to do stand up, and I wrote an article critiquing his dissertation for his PhD. I was like,
Right.
oh, this dude ain't shit because I read his dissertation, and he'd be like, you don't know shit about literature. I was like, exactly. And so if I ever catch that cat in the street, I literally am going to beat his ass.
Well, the funny thing was, he
with
wrote
you.
a
I love-
follow-up. This guy wrote a follow-up article after seeing my act. He's like, "Oh, you are funny." He's like, "Yeah, I am funny. That's why I'm here."
Right.
You know what
Yeah.
I mean? And
You
so he
fucking
corrected himself, but I was like, "Don't take a shot at me coming into the door."
Right.
You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
That I'm with you. I always have the impulse to fuck people up. Like
well, that's
that.
a hater ass impulse. That's a terrible impulse.
To beat people up?
Oh, to beat them
No,
up.
I'm on your side. I wouldn't write a fucking negative review about
Being a
somebody, like-
critic is the worst thing. It's just the worst
Right.
thing.
Yeah,
You're
it's
just a
right.
hater.
You just have to. You just got to make your peace with it, though.
I know, and I can't.
That's the thing. It's like
it makes me wonder.
But
every time-
and I agree with you, and I feel like at this point I should have done that, but you still sometimes will get set off.
yeah,
You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And there are such good. There are reviewers that I read that I think are worthwhile.
right. But every time I read a really what feels like a personal kind of attack review of me, obviously not of anybody else. Although when I read it of other people, I feel a sympathetic pain.
Inside
it makes me
of the
think,
story.
How I don't know if I'm up for this. I don't know if I can deal with this fucking.
Oh, the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah, well, that
level of attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know what's funny? Bill Maher was talking about this on his show the other day. He goes, sometimes I can read my Twitter feed and I think it's funny,
Right.
and sometimes I just find it so negative that I can't take it.
Right.
toward him.
It hurts.
Yeah,
you're a human
some
being,
kid
and they
said
forget
some shit
that.
about me on Twitter, and it was a comic, and I was literally like, "The fuck is this dude's problem?" I blocked him, but it stuck with me for a day.
Of course, it makes you feel shitty, man. Everybody. It's like I was thinking the anonymous comment section of YouTube and the internet has created a world where bitch-ass critics who used to be random guys that were paid to do it, now everyone on earth is a bitch-ass critic that has a public forum to say whatever they want. I know we've talked about this on the podcast before, but
I don't think we're talking about well-adjusted people because I don't know anyone that's ever left an online review.
Exactly.
I don't know one
if
person
I see your act, Suli,
who's ever given a YouTube comment, a Yelp
You're
review.
not going to run to...
I'm not going to be like, ugh, I didn't like that guy, so here's what I'm going to do. Fuck this cat, unfunny piece of shit. It's like I'm just going to log off.
Right.
Yeah, I got into it with a hater the other day. And
what were they hating on?
What they hating on?
Oh my God, this guy was really fucking upset with Tim and Eric, and I'm a little bitch because I work for Turner, and I edited like a Old Spice commercial, and this guy was really pissed because Procter & Gamble tested products on animals or something, just attacking me,
right?
And I'm like, okay, I'm sorry. Well, and then I was trying to kill him with kindness. I was like, okay, what's the problem? How can I change? And he's like, you're a little, and then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know. I just got into this.
I think that's the way to do it. I think that's the way to do it. You can neutralize it with I wish if I got engaged with people like that, the kid who slammed me in New York, I wish I'd gone like, what are you really mad about? Because it's not this.
He's not really.
I did this show with Sarah Silverman, this anti-Rick Perry show in Austin.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because...
I'm not ashamed to admit that I'm a Christian.
I posted something... I posted something about it. And, we were donating our time, doing...
It was about
all the money,
awareness for the N-word.
And all the money was going to the NAACP. So I clearly had no vested interest, nothing to be gained from it other than giving your time.
All black people don't get a cut of the NAACP.
Exactly. It's like this is going something I'm not getting anything.
You guys don't divvy it up amongst all black people?
No, we don't. And you would think that would be...
That would advance
it seems to make sense. That is true advancement. So this guy comes after me on Facebook like, Paul Mooney should be doing this thing. Sarah's giving up the money. Like, what is your attack point with her? At least she's doing something.
But that's what I'm saying. So it's like I feel like there's an entire generation of people rabid, crouched ready to pounce.
Right.
Like Sarah Silverman, she's not black.
Right.
Or everything that's possible for them to jump on and attack.
I find that their logic is always paper thin.
Well,
absolutely.
You can always take them down with one
That's what I'm saying. They're not there to give a logical argument. They're there to give an argument. They're there to attack,
they're not there to change anything. They're just there to show
to get in the way.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then going back to the guy that I got into it with, these people, it's like, who are you? What's your name and what do you do? They're always very anonymous.
Totally.
It's just some random drawing or something, and then some stupid name.
And they also like to have their name up.
That's a great point.
They're cowards.
They're a little famous.
That's the great point is that what we do as comics is we put ourselves in a very unanonymous way. Somebody
exactly. We put it out there.
Stand-ups are the most courageous of the media because we are.
Well,
just let me finish. Let me see what you think of it. I didn't say this, but it's 100% us. It's just this is me, and I'm putting myself out there. And so then you anonymously write on a YouTube faggot or piece of shit or hacky.
There's a part of me that actually finds. I think that I actually agree with Moshe about the nobility of it. The nobility of just going no, this is what I think.
Right.
Well, what's funny? I find that when I write jokes on Twitter, I leave it alone. Once I write the joke, then I'll let it take whatever turn it takes. If you don't get it and you have a problem with it, that's on you. Whatever it takes after I write it, I'm not going to jump back in it.
I'm not going to apologize.
Exactly.
You shouldn't.
I can't help you figure it out.
It makes you look small.
It does.
Actually, when I've seen big comedians try to go to bat with their haters in a public forum, I always think you're too good for that. You shouldn't be doing it.
I know. I know. I always feel sick doing it. But it's not that I'm a a huge comedian. Like
no, but if you do it if you do it funny, then it's a different thing.
Right.
Yeah, but once in a while, I take the
don't
bait.
even
You know,
jump
most of the
into it.
time,
Yeah.
90% of the time, I just ignore it. And
well, I noticed like
That's
even
exactly-
dealing with that reporter when he wrote the follow-up thing where he was like, "Oh no, he's really funny." He still had to take one more shot. He
Right.
was like, "You would think after 20 years somebody would have thicker skin." It's
Yeah.
like, no, I got completely
Jamie
thick
Foxx
skin.
left yo ass.
Yeah, he left your ass,
But that's
and I see why.
That's exactly what you were talking about. Is exactly right. It's like every once in a while you realize, Jesus Christ, I'm a human being. I can't help this. Hurts my actual human feelings. We're not automatons in some entertainment. I've always the idea. Like,
I even like the idea of making mistakes, meaning saying something homophobic, saying something, and just going like, "Look, I don't know what to say."
Well, that's what I thought about that.
I'm not saying like intentionally saying shit homophobic, but if
I
Tracy
thought with
had
that
handled it
Tracy
differently-
Morgan thing was you're coming to see this guy in a comedy club, and if anybody knows what he really does, his whole act is absurd. None of it should be taken seriously.
Right.
You know what I mean? But you still got to have the ability to make mistakes on stage.
And then,
you know what I mean? Or you're just going to do the same thing over and over again, and your act's never going to have any edge to it.
I've often heard that whole like, well, you chose to be in the entertainment industry, and being attacked like this that's part of it. Why? Why is that part of it? I never agreed to that. I don't make enough money.
Okay,
I don't make enough money per year for me to be like, well, I guess I sold my soul to the devil. I'm still a dude making regular people
Right, but
money.
there's the flip side of it. Is there's not an amount of money where you'd be like, you know what?
No, I know. I'm just trying to make a point.
$1.2 million. That's my price.
Right.
And the other thing is, do you listen to positive reviews?
What? Well, this comes. Now we're leaving aside the hater argument and into the humanity argument. I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I can get so many positive reviews and so much love on Twitter, and I will ignore all of it in exchange for one negative thing.
Yeah.
I will focus only on that. And what is that about? Why doesn't 10 positive things make me feel even close to as bad as one negative makes me feel?
Well, that's what athletes say. Blake Griffin has said that it's almost like chasing a high.
Yeah.
Where and George Karl, the basketball player for the Denver Nuggets, or basketball coach, said winning doesn't feel that good. Just losing feels fucking
Oh, it feels
horrible.
terrible. It feels
but
terrible.
Losing, it's
Yeah.
like chasing a high. You don't get like it's you're chasing that first high. You're just trying to
I brings the ruckus to the ladies.
When you win, you don't it's not so much you won, it's that you didn't lose.
That's you exactly.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But that's the thing, Moshe. If you're gonna listen, I try. My goal is to not listen to.
Don't read them.
I know. That's what
none of us should be reading
I know.
them.
That's
Right.
why. Are you reading your book reviews?
Yeah. And they're all really good, except they're all really good.
Yeah.
They've all been great except for this one dude who didn't review my book.
Right.
He literally
reviewed
didn't review my book.
He reviewed you.
Yeah, having never seen me. Actually, having never seen me live, he just reviewed me, and
that's what happened to me in the stand-up
thing.
forum. And it was like, dude, I wouldn't be here if I didn't have the chops.
Yeah.
And I'm coming here to do my thing.
Right.
I'm not
Yeah.
coming here just to,
Totally. Well, I mean, there's
Yeah. What do we do? I
don't even care about you, Suli, or me, Moshe Kasher. Or you, Neal. I feel like what the world is getting fucking diluted with hate. Like it's like getting worse.
Yes,
you know
I
what mean?
agree, but
maybe I'm naive and it's always been happening.
No, I don't think it's been. It's not. There hasn't been an anonymous network where you can shit on everyone.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
But now everyone is in show business, so
and
it's
not
like,
just there, you can do it instantaneously.
and anonymously,
right?
And that's their version of fame. All you can do is think about how miserable the person doing it is.
Sure.
Right. And just go like this again. Like I said, no one I know has ever left an online review, and I don't even know the healthiest group of people on the planet. I know a lot of fucking comics and real dirtbags.
Right.
And I'm saying, and no one I know has left it on. So it's the South Park did the episode about it where they go and find the guy, and it's just this fat fucking bed sore covered.
And that's the dude that you're upset.
And that's the dude that you're like, this guy, and it literally they just hijack your self-esteem.
Right.
And that's what they love about it, because their self-esteem got hijacked by their dad. a long time ago, or whoever,
Right.
or the kids that bullied them at school.
I had this kid bully my son, like, just to connect this, and I was really like, oh, I can't believe he hit my kid, and so I went to school, and we had to have this big meeting, and
who was in the meeting?
It was my son's teacher,
Bernie Brillstein,
me, Will Smith, no. Blake Griffin, but. So
this reporter from the San Luis Obispo Times.
Yeah, exactly.
Suli's son needs to man up.
It was the callback meeting.
3 weigh-ins.
The meeting of the
Cam.
But we sat down, and like my, to protect your kid, that thing was all built up in me. And I was like, well, I have to fight this kid if he's bullying my kid. And it wasn't until he came into the room and sat down on the carpet, Indian style.
And you
I was
realized
like,
it was
this is a
some
7-year-old kid. Like this.
Oh, and in your head, he's this monster.
Yeah, and this monster that's wreaking hatred on the school.
Yeah,
it's like, oh, he's a real 7-year-old. It feels bad about what he did, and
Yeah,
but that's the same thing. Well. At that point, there was nothing I could really say because I just realized it would be foolish.
Streets,
I'm bigger than you, and I will knock you out. Like, come on, that doesn't do anything.
And in your case, you may not be bigger than.
I may not.
So here is our mission:
What's
to inject love into the universe and not hate. I've been trying, so let's all try.
Yeah, that's you see the impulse. You just try to be a fucking goddamn man about it.
Try to be a good man.
Try to be
man up.
I get the impulse, but I would never shit on I guess I have shit on people online, meaning on Twitter, making a Twitter joke, low-hanging fruit.
Right.
Always aware of it.
Well, I've tried to adjust my Twitter personality to stop sniping at celebrities because I thought to myself, well, and I do Chelsea lately, and so there is an innate hypocrisy to what I'm talking about. But I have tried to adjust my Twitter personality because I used to have this thing where I would just snipe, and it would be a part of what I do. And
that's okay.
It bothered me to have it done to me, so who am I? That was me, by the way, saying that was okay. Anyway, so what are you going to do?
Right.
What we're going to do is we're going to wrap up this goddamn podcast.
Sounds good to me.
This was a good episode. Suli McCullough, you're an engaging man. You're a funny man. I didn't get to tell 2 of my favorite old jokes of yours.
Well, we can do
one
it again.
Of them was,
you want to do it now?
One of them was...
Do it to take us home.
It was the ad for Payless Shoe Source.
Right.
Their slogan was, you could pay more, but why? And Suli would raise his hand and go, quality?
Yeah, right there. 2 words, get right to the punchline.
Bang.
Yeah.
And that was back in 95.
Yeah, that was a heater.
That was a heater. I just like that joke.
That was a heater.
That was a damn near a closer. It was too short almost.
Yeah, it was exactly. But it was like, okay, this guy means business.
Like Rodney Dangerfield is not
all right,
out.
so did fuck with Suli. You're funny on Twitter. And
I am funny on Twitter. Yeah,
so
I
find
do
him
stuff.
at
I'm
Suli
useful.
McCullough?
Yeah, Suli McCullough, S-U-L-I, McCullough, McCullough.
Traditional black name.
Yes,
Ladies and gentlemen, at Suli McCullough, at Neal Brennan, at Moshe Kasher, and at Douggpound.
Yeah.
All right, bye, y'all.
All right, then. Yeah.